in the NFL. I mean, who saw the Tennessee Titans coming out of nowhere like that, huh? Taking down Lamar Jackson and that highly touted Ravens offense. I know I didn't, but it was a fun game to watch. And the other games after that were fun too. And we just got a couple more games left. We have the national championship for the college playoffs tonight between LSU and Clemson. That's going to be a fun game. And then we got the AFC and NFC championships next Sunday. And then after that, we take a break. Because, I mean, who really watches the Pro Bowl anymore, right? NFL needs to do a rehaul on that whole situation, in my opinion. But then after that, down in Miami, we'll see who's going to go. A week from now, we'll be talking about it and see who's going to go represent the NFC and the AFC in the Super Bowl. We might see if we can reach out to our old pal from Utah Valley, Matt Gay, who was a kicker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and see if we can reach out to him and see what he has to say about the NFL playoffs. The former Wolverine men's soccer player. So we'll see what we can do. We'll have our people try and contact his people. Utah Valley men's basketball. Hope for a better outcome over the weekend. They only had one game last week to prepare for. That was on Saturday night up in Seattle, taking on the Redhawks, and the men's basketball team fell to the Redhawks 83-50. We'll dive into that one just a little bit further down the road in the show, in this segment. But it wasn't good, and it wasn't pretty. Not going to try and sugarcoat anything, and we're not going to try and make excuses. And again, here on the UVU Coaches Show, it's not our place to sit here and to bash. And so if that's what you're looking for, you've come to the wrong place. But we try to take a look at what's going on and try to be honest and open with what we see without being overly negative and overly critical of the things that we have seen as well. But some positive news over the weekend for the women's basketball team. They, again, continue their hot streak, still unbeaten in conference play. They had a 70-58 victory over the Redhawks last week as well. Maria Carvalho, who will join us on the show, by the way. Fantastic. Another fantastic performance. She was already the reigning WAC Player of the Week last week, and she matched her career high that she set last week with another 19-point performance, and she also grabbed 8 rebounds and dished out 7 assists as well. So she was pretty close to having herself a triple-double on Saturday. Other Wolverines getting in the mix, Jordan Holland, Josie Williams as well. So we'll break that down a little bit. We are going to hear from the women's head coach, from Dan Nielsen today. Maria Carvalho will join us, and we're also going to take a look at the upcoming schedule for both of these two teams as the men's basketball team returns home on Thursday night to take on New Mexico State. And that's the first time that the Wolverines will have been home since the end of December, since like the 27th against Antelope Valley. And it'll be the first Division I opponent that the Wolverines on the men's side will have hosted in the UCCU Center since even before that. So it's been a while since the men have had the comfort of sleeping in their own beds and waking up and going to the UCCU Center to play some basketball. So in order to break down the first game this week against New Mexico State, we reached out to a good buddy of mine in the broadcast industry, Adam Young. Adam Young is the director of broadcasting at New Mexico State, and he has his hands full in virtually every sport down there. And he was able to take some time out of his busy schedule and chat with us and give us his personal thoughts on this Utah Valley New Mexico State matchup on Thursday, as well as taking a look overall at the conference in general, which is pretty crazy from where a lot of people thought this conference would be to where it is right now. Throughout the season, it's in a pretty crazy spot to go ahead and see and to break down who is where and why. There are a lot of questions with a lot of different teams, but as it sits right now, New Mexico State at the top, where, let's be honest, A lot of people thought New Mexico State was going to be up there. Chris Jan's doing a great job with that program, but they sit at the top 3-0 of the conference. Right behind them, California Baptist University at 3-1, and then Seattle U after that victory over the Wolverines on Saturday. They, along with UTRGV, tied at 2 wins and 1 loss with their record, so they sit at the 3 and 4 spot respectively. And then Kansas City is a very, very sneaky team. They gave New Mexico State pretty much all they could handle over the weekend, just lost by a couple points in Las Cruces. But Kansas City, very, very athletic, and they're going to they're going to give people a run for their money throughout the remainder of this conference play, and especially heading into WAC Vegas. Can't believe we're already starting that train. The road to WAC Vegas. Here we are in the middle of January, but we all know that March just a couple months away, so that'll be here before we know it. But right behind Kansas City, right behind the Roos, CSU Bakersfield, 1-1, and then Utah Valley, 1-2. And then the biggest enigma, I think, for a lot of people is Grand Canyon. I mean, what's going on in the desert out there in Arizona? They are 0-2, still looking for their first conference win, and Chicago State right there, right behind them at 0-4. So very interesting comments coming out of Arizona over the weekend. A lot of people talking about Dan Marley, Thunder Dan, being on the hot seat. And he had some very interesting comments over the weekend in the AZ Central newspaper. And after they lost on Saturday to California Baptist, Coach Dan Marley, he didn't mince words. And he said, quote, "It doesn't come down to one shot, a good look. It's at the beginning of the game when you don't have enough effort. You don't have enough will. We scored 22 points in the first half. We hold them to 29% shooting in the first half, and we're down by 6. You've got to be able to score the basketball. You've got to be able to make layups." And then he said that his players wanted to hold a team meeting after the game, and he said that would have been the team's 16th team meeting this season already. It's January 13th, and they've already held 16 team meetings? I mean, what the heck is going on? And then Coach Marley just basically said, if you have 16 team meetings in a half of a year, it means you're a bad team. The meetings are over, fellas. I mean, Alessandro plays 38 minutes. Isaiah Brown plays 30-plus minutes. Mikey plays 30-plus minutes. And Jovan plays 30-plus minutes. He said they have nobody to look at but themselves. Those are 5 guys who play 30 minutes a game. It's on me, though. It's on me. But they have to look in the mirror. Those guys have to look in the mirror. They have to figure it out. I'm doing fill in the blank, expletive word there, job with this team, and I'm doing a bad job, period. It's on me. So it's a lot of frustrations and some heat and some shade being thrown from Coach Marley out there in Arizona. So Utah Valley, they don't have to face them for at least another week or so, going out into the desert next Saturday, I believe, is when Grand Canyon will face the Wolverines. But, yeah, some crazy times, and we'll see how long Coach Marley is going to be at the helm of the men's basketball team down in Grand Canyon, because a lot of people think that his assistant coach, who they brought in, Menzies, he might be the one to take over, and we'll see. We'll see how big of a leash they have on Thunder Dan down there. Anyway, that's just the backdrop of where we are right now in the Western Athletic Conference. And for Utah Valley, Coach Marley talked about his team making better starts. Utah Valley has not had the best track record so far this season of starting their games off on the right foot. Utah Valley on Saturday, again, did not have a fantastic start to the game. They only scored 50 points total, and in the whole game, and when you have a team like this who has talent and who that we have seen know what they can do. They shot 25% from the floor. 25%. Seattle U, I mean, granted, they shot 45%, but when you're shooting 25%, that 45% looks like it's 80%. And Utah Valley, they shot 15% from three-point land, 3 of 20. They were killing it at the free throw line, 84%. They were 21 of 25 from the free throw line. But the biggest bugaboo that has been plaguing this team all year has been the turnovers. And Utah Valley, again, had 18 turnovers in that game on Saturday against Seattle. Total rebounds, they lost the rebounding battle. I know in Coach Pope's tenure here, the big statistic for them was if they won the rebounding battle, then it was statistically favored that they would win the game. And I think it was almost every single game that they won the rebounding battle that they had won, except for maybe 1 or 2 games all of last year. So again, Utah Valley, they just need to start better, and the questions can continue to come in, and continue to say, okay, now how is that what are we going to do in order to start better? But when you only score 20 points in the first half, like the Wolverines, they scored 20 points in the first and then 30 in the second. You've got to take a look at yourself in the mirror and see what's going on. Now, Utah Valley, as far as the stats are concerned, only had one player in double digits, and that was J.J. Overton. He finished with 10 points on 2 of 6 shooting. Excuse me, I beg your pardon. J.J. Overton finished with 10 points, 4 of 9 shooting. He was 0 for 2 from three-point land, made both free throws. He finished the game with 4 fouls, was able to sneak out of there without giving that 5th foul. But, yeah, J.J. Overton had 10 points. Ege Havza had 6. Isaiah White had 6. Brandon Averett and Trey Woodbury both had 9. Olojopoki had 7. And T.J. Washington had 3. So Brad Kitchen and Brandon Morley, they both took 1 shot each, missed it. So T.J. Washington was 0 for 8, and his 3 points came from the free throw line. Again, we're not writing this team off. This is not the time to hit the panic button and to scream and to say, okay, you know what, we're just going to write the season off. It's not the time for it, and we still have the whole conference season left to play. We still have two months virtually left to play, and we know that if you're in the right mindset and if you're playing right and you catch fire at the right time, that you can do some damage in Las Vegas. And we've seen what this Utah Valley team can do. We saw what they can do against Kentucky on national TV. These guys, they went down to the South and they defeated a very difficult UAB team. And they have gotten some fantastic wins on the season. And we know that when these guys play together and when these guys play the best that we know that they can play, and they play as a team unit, they're pretty much a contender for the top spot in the conference. And we know that California Baptist, they have that probation from coming to the Division I level, so they're not going to be able to compete necessarily in the postseason. So that already takes them out of the way in the playoffs. So it's the big picture here. It's the cliche. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So you got to take a step back and take a look at the big picture here. So Utah Valley, they had a tough victory again. Very tough loss on Saturday in Seattle. But they're going to try and bounce back, come back home, get back into the groove of going around campus, going to class, and going down to the UCCU Center in front of a hometown crowd and trying to get a victory not only on Thursday against New Mexico State, but on Saturday against UTRGV as well. So the men's basketball team will try and bounce back and see what they can do this week. Thursday, you can watch that one. That's going to be the ESPN3 game, the featured game of the week. The conference is bringing in their crew, and that game will be broadcast 7 o'clock Mountain Time. And you can also listen to Jimmy McCullough, The legendary Jimmy Mack will have that call for you right here on ESPN 960. And then Saturday, it'll be a little matinee special. So going forward, the rest of the conference season, any Saturday game virtually that Utah Valley has, it's going to be around 2 or 3 o'clock. So this game on Saturday will be 2 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. And perfect time to get out of the house, come down to the UCCU Center, and watch some basketball. So again, Utah Valley, the men's team, looking for that victory. Not victorious over the weekend, but the women's team continuing their hot streak. 70-58 was their score. They stay unbeaten in conference play. And we will hear from their head coach, Dan Nielsen, coming up right after this. This is the UVU Coaches Show, presented by the UVU Alumni Association. Brandon Crow with you here, as always, every Monday afternoon on ESPN 960. We're just getting started. Again, we have Maria Carvalho from the women's basketball team, Adam Young from New Mexico State breaking things down for us later on. But next up, we'll hear from the head coach himself of the women's basketball team, Dan Nielsen.
UVU Alumni has gone digital. Download the new UVU Alumni app. It allows you to carry a digital version of your alumni membership card with you at all times. Get discounts at local and national retailers. See what perks your UVU Alumni membership has to offer, and stay current with upcoming alumni events. You can even find former classmates using the app. Download it today.
Hi, this is Tim at Sierra West Jewelers. Sierra West is having its annual sale, 40% off most items in the store, and we have up to 5 years on credit, OAC. Big names, 42 years, only at Sierra West Jewelers.
All right, welcome back to the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. Brandon Crow with you here, as always, every Monday on ESPN 960. The Utah Valley women's basketball team has been out to a fantastic start in WAC play, undefeated, and they continued that undefeated streak on Saturday with a 70-58 victory in the UCCU Center against the Seattle U Redhawks, and we're pleased to be joined by head coach Dan Nielsen. Coach, congrats on the hot start to conference play.
Thanks, and appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Now, Coach, what has been the difference really between non-conference and conference, or really in your eyes, has there been a difference?
You know, I think there has been a difference, I think, in consistency. I think the biggest thing is we're starting to understand and buy in a little more defensively, where maybe in the preseason we would see streaks of it against, maybe Boise State was a good game, BYU, there were stretches where defensively we were solid, but I think we're starting to see it for longer stretches, and I think the girls are starting to really buy into it, and just really happy for them that they've been able to find some success and see that it works.
Now, you have had a lot of success with certain individuals, but freshman Maria Carvalho, who is the reigning WAC Player of the Week, continued her fantastic dominance, matching last week's career high that she set with 19 points again, and she also grabbed 8 rebounds. How important has she been for this spark plug on this team in conference play?
I think she's probably been one of the biggest difference makers, aside from team concepts and X's and O's, just as an individual. If you look at her stats, kind of the first maybe 8-9 games, and then compared to the last 5 or 6, I think she's just really started to get comfortable with our expectations with her, and vice versa. We've gotten a better understanding as a coaching staff of where she's comfortable and tried to put her in those situations. And I think you just see with that comfort level, she started shooting the ball better. She's more active defensively. And then, the last couple of games, she's had multiple rebounds and assists. I think right now she's leading the WAC in assists. Which is just great, because when she's playing well, the rest of our team is able to really step up their games when she can take that pressure off of them. So really, really proud of Maria.
How contagious is an offensive spark like that?
Oh, it's huge. I think, anytime we've been preaching all year, let your defense fuel your offense. But, I'd be lying, as an ex-player myself, when you see the ball go through the hoop or you see other teammates hitting shots, it helps you to relax. It makes you feel a little more comfortable. get you excited. And with her hitting shots and some other players stepping up recently, it's definitely, I think, taken the pressure off of, you have to play perfectly, where maybe if you do make a couple mistakes here and there, you can move on and say, hey, between our defense and other people making shots, we can move past those mistakes. And it's been really nice. I think the last few games, we've been able to hit more shots, and I think we've been able to turn our defense into some offense as well to increase our point production.
Do you think the girls are finally feeling comfortable playing at home? You think that's been attributed to your success as well?
Yeah, there's no question. Playing this long stretch of home games has been a real benefit to us. And so it's nice that we've gotten on a roll here, and we spent the second that game was over on Saturday, starting to talk about it's a great start, but the way you win championships is by winning on the road. And so we really need to be able to transition our success and our effort and energy to the road with us this week. The New Mexico State and RGV are both very good teams, and will be tough road games for us. And I'm excited to see kind of where we're at right now playing on the road.
Have you been down to Las Cruces?
I have. So both in my time as an assistant at BYU, we went a couple times back when I was director of operations many years ago. And then when I was at UVU before as a non-conference game, we had gone there. And so it's been a while, but I have been there before. And then obviously I've been down to RGV many times, my home state of Texas. So I got to get some barbecue and some good Mexican food while I'm down there.
What's your barbecue and Mexican food of choice?
So down there in RGV, there's a Mexican food place called Costa Mesa that's really good. I've always liked going there. And then barbecue-wise, I always like to go to Rudy's. There's where I'm from, just outside Austin. That was a place that was in our town. We'd go all the time, and they happen to have one there kind of close to RGV, and so we'll be sure to hit that one up. So I'm excited.
Now, Coach, do you speak any different languages?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I should claim it anymore. I speak some Spanish still. I used to speak it a lot better. I did serve for my church. I served a mission down in Venezuela. So there was a time when you could say I spoke Spanish pretty well. Now it's a little rusty, but I could get by.
So does Maria ever get frustrated in practice or anything and start speaking Portuguese, and can you understand it if she does?
So she will speak some Portuguese, but she speaks it so fast and with such an accent. Even though Spanish and Portuguese are fairly similar, it's hard to pick up. Our strength coach, Josh Morzaleski, he speaks Spanish better than I do, and he even has a hard time understanding it. Probably the best Portuguese story we have is when we played over at BYU, the point guard at BYU, who I actually recruited there, her name's also Maria Albiero. They were going up against each other and kind of pressuring each other right by our bench on an inbounds play. And they were kind of going back and forth and laughing in Portuguese. And so afterwards we had to ask what they were talking about. And she said, we were just talking some, kind of friendly trash back and forth. So every now and again she'll bust it out, but I definitely don't understand it at this point.
Well, that makes two of us. So, Coach, what are you expecting from this New Mexico team on Thursday and then UTRGV on Saturday? I know the conference overall, both on the men's side and the women's side this year, it's not the traditional scene that we have come to know in the past.
Yeah, I think it's really exciting, both for, Coach Madsen's crew and us that, even if maybe you stub your toe somewhere that you don't expect, I think everybody's going to have a chance to bounce back. New Mexico State right now lost a tough one to UMKC this last weekend, and so they're coming off a loss. I'm sure they'll be fired up to get back at home. They're very athletic, high-pressure team. They maybe don't shoot the ball as well as they have in the past, but still a very, very good team. And then RGV is playing really confidently right now, especially at home. Their last home game, they beat Cal Baptist by 20, and also a very athletic team. So somewhat similar on the guard line to what we just saw with Seattle as far as athleticism. But we're going to have to take care of the ball, which luckily we have done for the most part the last few games. But going on the road's a different story. So I'm excited to see how our girls respond to the pressure and see if we can kind of keep our streak going here.
Is there a key or a secret to getting an advantage on the road?
I think the biggest thing on the road, and it's always fun to say, hey, score a lot of points and run up and down and do all that. But our team's really bought into what we're trying to do defensively and understand the importance of limiting the other team's possessions with offensive rebounds, our turnovers, and then really contesting all their shots. And on the road, if you can play defense, you're going to have a chance to win. Typically, if you try and get in a shootout on the road, I don't know what it is, if it's the home gym or the refs are there or whatever it is, typically the home team wins. And so if we can continue what we've done defensively, right now we have the best defensive field goal percentage and least points per game in WAC play. And if we can continue that trend, I like to think we can have some success this weekend.
All right, Coach, we know you're busy. Thank you so much again for taking the time. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, and appreciate all you do.
All right, thanks, Coach. Safe travels.
Thanks, Brennan.
All right, that was Coach Dan Nielsen from the women's basketball team. We'll be right back with more from the UVU Coaches Show on ESPN 960 after this.
At Kengar Volkswagen in Orem, we believe in supporting our neighbors and the hardworking UVU basketball team. Since our store is perfectly located on University Parkway in Orem, we're ready to play ball with our UVU Wolverines and give them and you a car buying experience unlike any other. Be sure to stop by our store for all your automotive needs, because at Kengar Volkswagen in Orem, we hear you.
Your number one UVU basketball fans, Neil Dastrup Insurance and Auto Owners Insurance is a winning combination. You know texting while driving is dangerous, yet most people admit to doing it anyway. Drivers are 23 times more likely to be involved in a car accident while texting. Know the facts and wait to text. The danger is real and it applies to you. Auto Owners Insurance, the no problem people. Neil Dastrup Insurance is a proud partner of the UVU men's basketball team.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. Brandon Crow with you here on ESPN 960, and we just spoke with Utah Valley women's basketball head coach Dan Nielsen and getting the latest scoop on the women's success starting conference play. And we are pleased now to be joined by one of the standouts on the team so far in Maria Carvalho. Maria, thank you for taking the time to be with us.
Yeah, of course.
Now, Maria, you are from Portugal, correct?
Yeah.
So, tudo bem?
Tudo bem contigo?
I think the most important question we can ask you is how big of a fan of Cristiano Ronaldo are you?
Of course, I'm a huge fan of Cristiano Ronaldo.
Have you ever seen him play in person?
No, unfortunately, no.
No. Did you play any other sports growing up?
Oh yeah, I used to swim. I did gymnastics. I played roller skating, hockey, and then basketball.
Wow. So, if you were not playing basketball, what other sport would you be playing?
I don't know. Basketball was always my passion, so I don't think I'll choose any sport.
And where did you get this passion for basketball? Did that come from any of your parents or any family members?
My dad used to play basketball in high school, and he kind of taught me pretty much everything. And then coaches, of course. But yeah.
So, what did you have access to like American basketball growing? Like, what was that like for you to watch it?
To watch American basketball?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I didn't really watch American basketball. I only watched Portuguese basketball. But I always had like these dreams to play in America, and I was so happy when UVU offered me a scholarship.
When was the first time that you came to America?
Last year.
So how did you choose Utah Valley? How did that happen?
So I actually played for a national team in Portugal, and I had a bunch of universities that contacted me and wanted me to play for them, and I talked to my family, and I wanted like a safe place to live and a team where I could have some minutes, and I thought UVU was my best option.
What's your experience at Utah Valley been like so far?
It was super hard last year at the beginning, especially with language. But I love the team. I love my teammates. I love the new coaching staff, the old coaching staff. They're awesome.
So where did you learn English? Did you learn English in school? Because our English is fantastic.
Thank you. Feels good to hear that. I actually learned English in high school when I was in Portugal, and I was really bad. I suck at English, and last year was really bad. I struggled so much. So let's just say that I learned how to speak English last year here in America.
Well, like I said, your English is really good for only really learning it over a past year or so. So congratulations. It's quite an accomplishment.
Thank you.
So now, is the weather, the cold weather here in Utah, pretty different than the cold weather over in Portugal? Is that one?
Oh, for sure. For sure. In Portugal, it's pretty warm, and it rains a lot. And when I came here the first time it snowed, I was actually really happy because in Portugal it doesn't really snow that much, just in one specific area. And I was actually really happy, but then it was like super cold, and I'm like, oh no, I don't like this.
So how many layers of jackets do you wear every day?
Like 3 sometimes.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm not too big of a fan of the cold, but that's what is another bonus about basketball, right? Being able to play indoors.
Oh yeah, for sure. If I played soccer, I would just freeze outside.
Now, who's the biggest jokester on your team?
I actually don't know. Maybe Naha and Jay, and maybe me as well.
You like to play a lot of pranks?
What?
Do you like to do a lot of jokes?
Yeah, we just like to play around and just joke around and stuff like that.
Now, what about the coaches? Who's the big jokester out of the coaches?
You're all super funny, but I don't know why they say that Dan has dad jokes.
Oh, he has dad jokes?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what dad jokes are?
Yeah, my team has explained it to me.
Okay.
But yeah.
What is Coach Nielsen like from a basketball perspective? What have you learned from him?
Not only me, but the whole team will learn how to guard man-to-man, because last year we used to do a lot of zone. Offensively, he made me more calm, like slow down, just like do better reads as a point guard, and then make my shots like good shots, not like inches and like I'm just gonna shoot that just for shooting, not really like I'm gonna make it,
So he's helping you with your confidence?
Yes, for sure.
Now, how has that helped you in conference play? I know at the beginning of the season when you were not playing conference games, the team was not winning as much as they would like, but now that you're in conference play, what do you think has been the difference with your team, or is there a difference?
That's definitely a difference. Let's just say with new coaching staff, it was just kind of hard for us because they pretty much changed everything. We used to guard zone, now we're man-to-man, and we just weren't getting it, and we're it was just really hard at the beginning. We're in a rough spot, but as soon as we bought into it, and we're like, okay, we're here for the same thing. We want to win the WAC, so we just stick together. And now we're playing together defensively. We're doing a great job, and I think that's the key.
Now, You have been playing a lot of games at home at the UCCU Center or Lockhart Arena. Do you find comfort in playing at home?
Yes, playing at home is always really good. And I know that we have 2 road games, and it's going to be complicated. It's going to be a new atmosphere, a new court. But if we focus and we just stick to the game plan and do the small things, I think we'll be fine.
Excellent. Well, Maria, congratulations on the success that you've been able to have so far. And we wish you nothing but the best this week and throughout the rest of the season.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Okay, bye.
All right, that was Maria Carvalho from the women's basketball team. And we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back with more on the UVU Coaches Show right after this on ESPN 960.
Wolverine Crossing is Utah Valley's premier student housing. We provide the largest amenities in Utah, including 2 resort-style pools, 2 hot tubs, a 2-story gym, sand volleyball, basketball court, and so much more. Pick from our newly renovated 1, 2, 3, and 4-bedroom layouts. We know we have the perfect fit for you. Spots are filling fast. Come in today for a tour and find out why Wolverine Crossing is home for you.
Why does your business need Vivid Print today?
For banners, yard signs, NCR forms, business cards, promotional items.
Why will you need Vivid Print tomorrow?
For booklets, business card magnets, custom printed fabric items, trade show pop-ups.
And why Vivid Print in the future?
For letterhead, newsletters, flyers, stickers, window claims.
Vivid Print, promotional signs and graphics.
Hi, this is Jamie Barris with Vivid. If you can dream it, we can design and print it.
Go online to get-vivid.com and get ready for great service. And Vivid, print promotional signs and graphics.
Welcome back to the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. Brandon Crow with you here on ESPN 960. It's our privilege now to be joined by a very, very skilled and talented friend of mine in the industry, Adam Young, the broadcaster for New Mexico State. He was honored as one of the 30 under 30 a few years back by the Sports Talent Agency of America. Very talented guy. You've probably heard him all over the place, but he's going to give us a little preview as to the Aggies and Wolverines matchup this week. Adam, we know you're busy. Thank you for taking the time to be with us.
You bet, Brandon. Good to hear from you.
So, Adam, I know you are a busy guy. You got a lot on your plate. What is your exact title down there in Las Cruces?
Well, now it is Director of Broadcasting, so I kind of help our Learfield General Manager oversee all the broadcasting stuff for us, both television and radio. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a hodgepodge of jobs for me. On the broadcasting side, I do all of our television, so that's football, men's and women's basketball, baseball, softball, and volleyball. And then I do a good amount of radio as well, play-by-play, and I host our coaches show as well. And do a lot of our social media, help out in media relations, but I'm full-time with Learfield and broadcasting every single sport that we broadcast, and at least on the television side, doing all of our television. So it's a great opportunity, and of course, a lot of our teams have won consistently, so that's made it even better.
Now, you are originally from the Midwest, right? The St. Louis area?
Correct.
So first off, how did you fall in love with broadcasting? And second of all, how did you end up in Las Cruces?
Well, that's a good question. I fell in love early on just listening to the St. Louis Cardinals. I listened to Jack Buck a lot early on when I was growing up, and always was fascinated by this aspect of the profession, and went to college for broadcasting and was fortunate enough to do some minor league baseball in St. Louis and work for a number of different universities right out of college. And then New Mexico State had an opening actually 2 years before I got it. The first time around, I finished second, and then the guy left for a job at Montana State to be their radio voice, and they called me up 2 years later and offered me the job again, and I took it that time around, and I've been here ever since. Was never in this part of the country, had no idea what I was getting into, and the job has changed immensely since I've been here. When I got here, we were not a Learfield school. We were basically only a couple radio stations, and now we're on, I think, 9 radio stations, and our television reach has grown as well. So it's been a great opportunity, and looking forward to more years here as well.
Definitely helps when you've had a consistent program top to bottom in your athletics over there at the university.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it helps a lot. I mean, when they're winning, it makes my job easier. My first year, they won in everything but baseball, and baseball really, really struggled. And I remember how tough that was. I think they were like 11-38, and then baseball turned it around in year 2. But men's basketball has won consistently. I've been to the NCAA tournament every year but one with women's basketball. I've been to the NCAA regionals with baseball, and I've been to the NCAA tournament with volleyball. I mean, everybody, for the most part, has won consistently, and it's hard to maintain that success. So there's been a little bit of a drop-off this year in some sports, but men's basketball is still the sport that I think the most people pay attention to and the most people care about. And I know that's what we'll talk about today, but it's been an interesting year with them. The expectations were absolutely through the roof, and Chris Chance thought he had his best team he's had here, and then the injury bug hit, and they've managed to kind of weather the storm here as of late, but it's been an interesting year with the men for sure.
I think that's a really great word for the whole conference right now. It's just interesting because going into this season, nobody thought that the standings top to bottom would be as mixed as where they are right now. I mean, obviously a lot of people, virtually almost everybody, had New Mexico State picked up at the top, but then CBU, the newcomer, showing off their wings at the number 2 spot right now, and then Seattle U, UTRGV, Kansas City, very talented, CSUB, Bakersfield, then Utah Valley, and then Grand Canyon, the surprise down there, still looking for their first conference victory with Chicago State in the winless column down there. But just overall, I know it's still very early in conference play, but your first overall thoughts of what's going on in the conference?
Well, you and I were just talking off the air, and I mentioned to you that I just saw Kansas City over the weekend because we had that game on television, and my goodness, they're good. They're really good. And they were picked second last in the preseason, and Billy Donlan's done a remarkable job already, and they're without their big guy, Javen White, or at least he didn't play against us, and we'll see if he plays this week. But if they're fully healthy and they have all their pieces, I mean, they can challenge in the WAC tournament for sure, and I'd be shocked if they did not finish in the top 3 in the regular season. And, of course, Grand Canyon, the enigma, I mean, a team that was supposed to be so good, and then Freyer is academically ineligible, and Jalen Fisher no longer with the program, so their depth is a big issue right now. And there's a lot of parity. I think a lot of people would still say that New Mexico State is the favorite based on what they've done so far in conference play, and really what they've done since mid to late December. I mean, a big win against Mississippi State and Jackson in a neutral site game, and just starting to play better. Injuries have been just an absolute problem all season, but I know New Mexico State isn't what they thought they would be or what the league thought they would be, but a lot of programs aren't. UMKC is surprised. Grand Canyon has struggled. And then you have Utah Valley and Seattle. They're kind of in the middle where I feel like they could do some damage in Vegas as well. So, yeah, it's been a really interesting year in the WAC. Nothing's really gone as planned so far.
Not at all, especially for Utah Valley, again, falling over the weekend in Seattle. Very interesting and frustrating game from the Wolverines' perspective. And I know, again, you and I talked off the air about that as well. And we just didn't see that one coming. And we were both scratching our heads trying to figure out what was going on with the Wolverines. But, you know, they do have time to prepare coming back home. This would be the first time on Thursday that the Wolverines have played at home in over a month since December. And what are your overall predictions for that game? I know you won't be here, but based off of what you've seen, what do you think are the keys for both teams?
Well, from the Aggie side, Terrell Brown is starting to play a lot better, and that is a huge boost for New Mexico State. Brown, I think a lot of fans will remember, was an all-conference guy last year. He was in the running for WAC Player of the Year. He had a groin injury in the preseason and played through it because the Aggies had very little depth because of injuries that sideline guys. So he had to play through it, or at least he felt he did. and it nagged him the entire non-conference. So he was a 4-point-per-game scorer in non-conference play, and he's coming off 18 over the weekend, and he's had 3 straight really good offensive games. So that's been a big boost for the Aggies. Also for the Aggies, I don't know how good of a road team this is yet. During Chris Jantz's time as the head coach, they've been a really good road team, and that hasn't been the case this year. And he's been looking for that demeanor, that what the Aggies have done on the road in years past hasn't been the same this year. They don't run into an atmosphere that's hostile and really thrive off that, or at least they haven't shown that yet. So we'll see. And then from Utah Valley's perspective, it's how do you bounce back from a tough loss over the weekend? They had a lot of time to get ready for that one, and of course a new head coach, and we'll see how they respond after a tough loss over the weekend. And I know the Aggies expect them to respond well, and I feel like any given night in conference play right now, anybody can beat anybody, which is exciting for the league. I mean, that's what you want. You don't want to go to Vegas and feel like there's one team that's going to blow everybody out, and that's definitely not the case this year.
From your perspective and from what you have observed, Adam, what do you think it is that makes Coach Jantz so successful?
Well, he's really, really special X's and O's wise. His practices are a sight to see. I mean, he can coach. He can coach, and his players respect the heck out of him. He finds a way to get them to buy into his style, and his style is complicated. Some guys just don't get it, don't make it because they can't understand what he wants them to do. And what he's thrived off the last couple of years, he doesn't really have this year, is they've always had depth. So last year, as you recall, they would play like 11, 12, 13 guys, and it was the wackiest roster full of guys that you would see around the country because everybody was playing around 15 to 20 minutes. But the benefit of that was in practice, you had to play well every single day or you were going to lose your spot. So there was a battle for playing time in practice every single day. Practices were as competitive as any practices I've seen since I've been here with any coach. But they don't have that this year. They kind of have to lay off a little bit. They pull off the gas a little bit because they can't get somebody hurt because right now they're only playing really 8, 9 guys because of all the injuries. So he hasn't been able to practice like he has in the past, which is unfortunate. And I know it's hurt them on the floor in games as well, but he's a really special coach. I mean, people have said it. He's a high major coach in a mid-major league. He learned under some great coaches, especially Gregg Marshall at Wichita State. He's a really good recruiter, and his staff and his players love playing for him and working for him. So you mix in all that, and that usually equals success. And, of course, he's won 28-plus in his first 2 years and well on his way to 20-plus this year.
Excellent stuff, Adam. Thank you again for taking the time to be with us. When are you going to be up here in Utah? Not until baseball season?
Well, I think I actually missed baseball season this year because you guys travel to us. So it might not be a while, actually. Might not be a while.
All right. Well, either way, next time you come up here, try and get you something special, like a Wolverine paw or something like that on me.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
All right, Adam, thank you so much. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back on the UVU Coaches Show here on ESPN 960.
UVU Alumni has gone digital. Download the new UVU Alumni app. It allows you to carry a digital version of your alumni membership card with you at all times. Get discounts at local and national retailers. See what perks your UVU Alumni membership has to offer, and stay current with upcoming alumni events. You can even find former classmates using the app. Download it today.
Hi, this is Tim at Zero West Jewelers. Zero West is having its annual sale, 40% off most items in the store, and we have up to 5 years on credit, OAC. Big names, 42 years, only at Zero West Jewelers.
It's been a fun show so far, hasn't it? A lot of good guests. Again, thank you to Adam Young from New Mexico State taking the time to be with us on the show. Thank you, as always, to Coach Nielsen taking the time out of his busy schedule to chat with us about his team. And thank you to Maria, or should we say obrigado Maria, for joining us. She was fun. Can't believe that she was, talking down on herself about her English. Her English was fantastic. So congratulations to Maria. Again, most likely we'll see, but she could very well have that Player of the Week honor again coming her way. Fantastic stat line for her. 19 points, almost a triple-double again for Maria. So she continues to do very good things. And then, again, if you're just now joining us, a little bit late. Hey, better late than never here on the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. The women's basketball team stay unbeaten over the weekend in conference play with a 70-58 victory over Seattle University. Again, Maria Carvalho, who we had just heard from on the show, matched her career high with another 19-point performance, grabbing 8 rebounds and dishing out 7 assists as well. Jordan Holland scored 15 for UVU, and Josie Williams had a double-double with 11 points and 10 rebounds. Alexis Cortez rounded out 4 Wolverines in double digits with 10 points. And then for the men's basketball team, Utah Valley again losing to Seattle U 83-50 up in Seattle. JJ Overton leading the Wolverines with 10 points in that contest. So the Wolverines now, the men's basketball team and the women's basketball team, will shift their gears. The Wolverines, for the men's team, they will stay home. First time that they will be home this weekend in well over a month. So they take on New Mexico State on Thursday. You can watch that game on ESPN3 or ESPN Plus. And then Saturday, you can also watch that on the WAC Digital Network as well. Both games on the WAC Digital Network, KSL streaming app, all the good stuff, the usual spots. So you can go ahead, download the WAC Digital Network app if you have a Roku or if you have a Apple TV, however you get your smart TV fix. And you can download it and watch it from the comfort of your own home, or you can come down to the UCCU Center. It's a fantastic environment, and you can sit there in person, get some good food, be with your family, and watch a fun basketball game. So it'll be interesting to see how Coach Madsen and his coaching staff prepare this Utah Valley team for New Mexico State, because I feel like with the Wolverines, especially at home, they do protect the den, and they do get up for bigger games, so to speak. And so I'm very curious to see what happens at the UCCU Center Thursday evening against New Mexico State. But then again, best wishes to Coach Dan Nielsen, and thank him again for joining the show. But he and his squad will head on the road to go down to Las Cruces and down to UTRGV, which Coach Nielsen said he's very happy about because he's from Texas and he's able to get some Texas food. At least, I believe he said he was looking forward to some barbecue and some Mexican food. So it'll be a fun week for both teams to see where we are a week from now on the show and what we're discussing on this UVU Coaches Show. But like we talked about in the opening, only just a couple more weeks left to savor your football cravings and to savor those last bites that we have of football. We'll try and reach out to Matt Gay and see if we can talk some football with him and talk about his time at Utah Valley in the men's soccer program. But we're going to close up shop for today on the UVU Coaches Show. And again, thank you to all of our guests. Thank you to all of our sponsors and to our producers in the studio. And we'll see what happens with the Wolverines this week. We'll take a break and see you next Monday